But I think from a Russian perspective, it's very important to realize that in addition to the $12 billion that you mentioned that Russian banks have placed in Cyprus, we have about $19 billion of non-bank deposits. So if we were to have a 10% haircut, as you already announced in your program, we're going to have about 10% of $30 billion, about $3 billion that will be imposed on the Russian banks and on the Russian depositors. And as you can imagine, this doesn't make Russia very happy. This morning we had Putin on the wires here in Moscow saying that this is not fair, this is dangerous, and the Russians are not happy about it. So I think you're correct to point out that the loan that you mentioned that Russia has extended to Cyprus could be put in danger.
But do the Eurozone officials, in particular in Germany and others, have a valid point that, you know, if this money is, if some of this money is dirty, then they should take a hit?
Well, again, I think this is a logic that probably makes sense from European perspective, but this is, as you can imagine, not the way this is taken in Russia here. I think the perception here in Moscow is that why should Europe save or be a little bit more benign as far as the UK depositors are concerned, the UK investors, the UK pensioners are concerned, and why should they be treating the Russians in this way? So there is a little bit of a sense and unease and unhappiness here in Moscow in terms of the way this bailout has been planned.
Just briefly, Ivan, I mean, how far will Putin, how far will Russia take this, do you think?
Well, I think that the reactions that we have here from Moscow is that Russia may not agree to extend the $3 billion, to extend the maturity of the $3 billion loan that you mentioned. Also, there was another request recently made by Cyprus for an additional $5 billion in loans. It seems to me that this just will not happen with the current developments.